Good morning. I'm going to show you an overview of this 6-cylinder sequential injection kit that I just installed. So we'll start with the computer, which is right here in this corner. It can go inside the cab of the vehicle, or if you have a nice little space under the hood, it is definitely more convenient to put it under the hood. You run 2 wires inside the cab of the vehicle. Your switch wire, and I pulled my switch power off of the fuse box, which was underneath the glove box in this vehicle. And then here's your map sensor. Your map sensor runs 2 vacuum lines. One vacuum line runs to a splitter, and the other vacuum line pulls directly off of the manifold. And then then an additional vacuum line that runs from this map sensor goes to the fuel rail, and I chose to hook it up to this rear fuel rail right here. These additional wires that are coming off run to various places. I will take you to the injectors. Each injector goes to a cylinder, and you can see right here that shiny little guy is where I have drilled and tapped into the intake manifold, and you try to get it as close to the cylinder head as possible. And basically what we do is we hijack the wire that runs to the injector, we splice into that, and then we turn that off when we turn on our sequential injection system, and we use that signal to turn on our electric solenoids, and they will fire, releasing CNG into the line, which goes directly into, obviously, the motor. This right here is our inline filter, and then our supply hose goes down to our regulator. Here's my regulator. This is a 1-stage regulator, which I'm getting more and more fond of. We're having good results with all of them, but I just kind of like 1 stage now. These 2 blue lines are, you don't have to use blue or anything, just regular radiator hose is what it is. I just chose to use that so that we could distinguish that they are radiator lines. So 2 radiator lines are going into the regulator. One of these, this gray line, is a vacuum line, which goes, you can't really see it, but it goes down there, pulls the vacuum off of the regulator, so that and that goes to the maps sensor. That information does. And then obviously we have our gauge. We have an additional wire here, which is a temperature sensor. So when you first cut this vehicle on, it doesn't run on natural gas until it gets warm, and that prevents the regulator from freezing. Now, I've never had a regulator freeze, and I live here in Utah. It gets quite cold, but it's just a precaution that this system is built in. You can bypass that and just not use it, but it doesn't take that long for the engine to warm, and then it switches over to natural gas when you hit the right RPMs. And then our final 2 wires run to the regulator, and there's a positive and negative. Blue goes to positive, black goes to negative to complete the circuit. There is additional wires here. These 2 wires is where I borrowed the RPM off of the coil, and each cylinder had its own coil, so I borrowed an RPM wire off of that, and then I borrowed an oxygen sensor wire off of, one was found here, and then way back there is a cluster of wires, and that's all the wiring that goes to the individual injectors. So let's go in. Let's see, I chose to put the fill right here, so you can fill it from the front. I like that, it's convenient for me. And then I just glued some magnets, recessed some magnets here, and then put some hinges on. You see that closes just fine. So obviously the tank's in the trunk, and we are going to crank this one. I did throw a check engine light on this one, and I ran the scanner, and it told me that it is bank 1 and bank 2 too lean, which is what we get with CNG. So here is my switch. Hope that's not blurry. And right now it's flashing indicating that we're running on petrol. Or you can just, you know, cut it off completely. And, well, it just flipped over. There we go. We'll cut it off completely. Turn it on. It's flashing, flashing, flashing. See if I hold this down. If I hold it down, it will immediately switch over to natural gas, which is really neat. Let's see if I hold it down, cut it off. So now we're back on petrol. And I'll turn it back on. So with the flashing light, typically what we're waiting for is for the RPMs to get up to 1300 is where I have this one set. So what just flipped over. Right about 1300. So again, there's no hiccup. That's the thing that's amazing about this system. There's just no hiccup. There's no stall. There's no lug in the motor. It just switches. And so let me cut this off. And we'll just listen to the look at the RPM. And I'm cutting it off now. Very mild transition. Now I'm waiting the CNG. I'll go to about 1200. Just clicked over. Just cut it off. Turned it on. Now I'm pressing the button to turn it back to CNG. And it's on. Amazing. So the program here is, what we have here is the green line is CNG and the blue line is petrol. So right now we're on CNG. We know that because our light's on. And what we do is we initially run this on petrol, on regular gasoline, and it gives us our power band, and which is indicated by blue. And so you drive it for a while, the computer documents that. The ECU under the hood documents this. The only reason for this computer is to make adjustments and to see what the ECU is doing. So we'll take it and we can, now I haven't adjusted this one because it just runs, it runs fine. And typically I don't adjust them because they all just seem to run so well. So what you do is you can adjust down here at the bottom. You can adjust these greens and pull them and make individual adjustments and pull it up to where it should operate at the RPMs, desired RPMs. Also with the program, you can go into, you can't see that, but those little row of green dots is each injector. You can go into each injector and adjust the timing. Again, I've never had to do this. Here you choose if you have a 6-cylinder, 8-cylinder, 5-cylinder. You choose some of your where your oxygen sensor is. You've got auto calibrate, which you just hit the start button and it will auto calibrate the motor for you. You have to go through a drive cycle. Here it tells you if you have any errors, if you've managed to you know, mess something up. And anyways, so real simple system. Again, we're on CNG right now. Let's go underneath the hood, see if we can hear those injectors. It's cold, and you typically can hear them when they're still cold a little bit. You hear that? Sounds a little bit like a sewing machine. But let's close the hood, and you can't hear anything. So this is our little BMW. I'm going to put the headlight back in. And just a great running car, and should have converted this one. Well, we didn't have the system dialed in, but glad this one's running on CNG. And you look at our last light right there, and there we go. So I hope this video helps. I have much better videos coming out in the future.